So item D1 is the city attorney. Are you going to give the staff report on this?
Yes, I can give a brief staff report. This is a report back on 2 companion items that the city council directed. First, I'll note, as written in the staff report, that West Hollywood prides itself in its long-standing tradition and commitment of diversity and inclusion, including diversity of relationships, gender, and sexual orientation. In today's diverse society, a significant portion of households diverge from the traditional nuclear family model, and this item is reporting back on 2 directions related to this topic. The first was direction to come back with an anti-discrimination ordinance that would discriminate on people based on their family structure. And that ordinance is before the city council for introduction tonight, should the council wish to adopt it. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of someone's family or relationship structure with respect to access to housing, access to business establishments, access to city facilities and services, and access to city-supported facilities and services. It comes with enforcement provisions, and it models some of the city's strict anti-discrimination ordinances that have already been in place for many years and continues that effort with protecting a new class of persons. The second item reporting back tonight to the City Council was the direction to look into the city's domestic partnership ordinance and come back with recommendations for how it could potentially be expanded to also include people in diverse family relationships, including throuples and other polyamorous relationships, and to see if the existing domestic partnership ordinance that the city has could be expanded, or if there's other ways to address this direction. Staff's recommendation at this time would probably be to create a separate registration program that mirrors the protections that are provided in the domestic partnership ordinance, but by creating a completely separate registration process. That would be a cleaner, simpler way that would be more in line with what state law provides to have the city do this. I think the city would be maybe the first in California and one of the first in the country to look at this model. So the action and direction that staff is requesting tonight is to confirm that the council agrees with the creation of a separate registration process, and then also ask if staff wants to, or if the council wants staff to explore looking at the city's internal policies for protecting people in non-traditional families as part of that registration process. So the information's in the staff report. There's 2 items that the council's being asked to act on tonight. And I'm here with City Clerk Melissa Crowder, and I've got Ray Lind here from HR if we have questions about benefits, and we can answer any questions you may have.
Great. We do have a number of speakers from the public. Why don't we take those and then we can get into council discussion. Our first speaker is Brian Wenke, to be followed by Christina Fialho.
Good evening, Mayor Heilman, Vice Mayor Heng, and council members. I'm here tonight to urge you to take 3 clear actions on agenda item D1 tonight at this meeting. First, vote yes on item D1 to prohibit discrimination based on family or relationship structure. Second, vote yes to create the proposed staff working group to develop policies for registering and providing benefits to multi-partner and polyamorous partnerships. And third, before voting yes on the proposed staff working group, amend the item to require the working group to return with a concrete plan and proposed policies within 90 days and no longer than 6 months. As the executive director of a global LGBTQ+ youth organization, I think every day about how law and culture play into the future of the next generation. Do they support a world where folks can show up as they are? Family structures are evolving, and our policies should evolve alongside them. If we believe in protecting families in all their forms, then we need structure, accountability, and a clear timeline to ensure follow-through. West Hollywood has long led by example. Tonight is an opportunity to continue that leadership thoughtfully and responsibly. Families are changing. The question is whether our policies can keep up. Thank you so much for your time and leadership.
Thank you. Christina Fialho, to be followed by Aaron H., and then Megan Katz.
Good evening. My name is Christina Fialho, and I'm the president of Rewrite the BiLine. I'm also here as a community member who believes deeply in the power and responsibility of this council to create the world we want to live in. The current legal system was never designed for all of us. It has evolved over time because courageous local leaders like yourselves chose to expand its protections. As an attorney, I've spent my career managing risk. I understand caution. But I also know that there are moments when the potential for justice far outweighs the fear of stepping into the unknown. And this is one of those moments. The opposition has pushed boundaries. They're unafraid to test the limits of the law. This administration, influenced by Project 2025, is pursuing policies to roll back LGBTQ+ rights and protections. This, therefore, is not the time for timidity. This is the time to be bold, to recognize that loyalty to justice and to the idea that the world can be built differently requires action. And it is up to us here tonight to take that action in West Hollywood. I'm grateful for this council's history of leadership. West Hollywood has often chosen to stand on the side of inclusion before it was easy, before it was popular. That legacy matters. I urge you to vote yes on item D, and with respect, I ask that you amend the item to require the working group to return within 90 days and no more than 6 months with a concrete plan and proposed policies. A timeline will reassure residents that this process will lead to meaningful action. I've heard from people who fear that these discussions will be pushed into a bureaucratic box. Many have never seen their relationships recognized, and for them, visibility and legal recognition are not abstract concepts. They are matters of safety and well-being. I hope to see West Hollywood continue to model what it looks like to be a city that is welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron H., to be followed by Megan Katz, and that's our last speaker.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Hammersley. I am a proud Bi+ advocate for my community and the larger LGBTQ+ community, and I'm here to speak in support of voting yes on D1. I'm a proud Bi person, as I said. One of the many things I have learned in my life is that no two families look the same. That has been true before, and it is true now. It is one of the many things that are beautiful about love. While I am personally monogamous in my relationships, I do not believe I am better or worse than someone who is not. Polyamorous people and multi-partner families deserve dignity, clarity, and protection under the law just as I am afforded. I hope that West Hollywood will once again become the city that leads by affirming that families come in many forms and that all of them deserve fairness under the law. Thank you for your time, your courage, and your leadership.
Thank you. Megan Katz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Katz. I've been a resident of West Hollywood for 23 years. I'm a librarian and studying for Masters of Marriage and Family Therapy and proudly polyamorous. I do want to urge you to vote yes on item D1 to prohibit discrimination on the basis of family or relationship structure, to vote yes to create the proposed staff working group to develop policies for registering and providing benefits to multi-partner and polyamorous partnerships. But before voting yes on the proposed staff working group to amend the item to require the working group to return within 90 days and no later than 6 months with a concrete plan and proposed policies in order to demonstrate accountability and ensure that this important commitment leads to meaningful, timely action. Obviously, I have my children here today because I wanted them to see firsthand how we as citizens affect change on the local level that can improve our own lives significantly. And I can't tell you how important this legislation is to me. Protections for non-monogamous and non-traditional families are mostly non-existent, growing barely, right here before our eyes. And there's really no reason for them to not exist. They should be there, and I'm excited to see this happening, to be part of it. We are contributing members of our societies, and advancements like this affirm that we deserve the same rights as anyone else. So thank you so much for taking the time to hear me out, and thank you for making progress on this issue.
Thank you. That's our last speaker tonight. We'll turn to council questions and discussion. The speakers seem to be largely in support. In terms of the timeline that they requested, let's ask our city attorney and our city clerk. Is that a realistic timeline for you with your work plans?
At this time, thank you, Mayor Melissa Crowder, City Clerk. 90 days I don't think is possible for myself and the Human Resources Manager and Lauren to come up with a thoughtful plan that we can implement. 6 months, yes, that I think is doable for us.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's get into council discussion. Is there any discussion?
I have questions.
Oh, you have a question,
Yeah,
thank you.
I had a question about, Lauren, the report, you talk about the state. Can you explain that a little bit more?
The way the state defines both marriage and domestic partnership is between two people. And we're talking about something about relationships that could involve more than two people, which is why we thought rather than changing our local law in a way that may not be consistent with the state law, we could create our own program that's just completely separate from what the state is doing and have a program here in West Hollywood that could provide benefits that mirror what you provide for domestic partners, but do it in our own way.
And what kind of impact would that have, for example, on City Hall benefits and how it impacts our taxpayers?
Well, that's part of what the working group would be looking at. That's the more complicated part. And so that's something that I think would need, if the council's interested in exploring that, would require a little bit more study and analysis and review of the benefits policies and things of that nature to be able to report back on that piece.
Okay. We'll wait until the vice mayor is back. I think there's no real objection to the non-discrimination ordinance. So can we go ahead and address that, and then we'll do the task force? Yeah. And Chelsea, you brought this. I see you moved we introduced this on first reading. There's a second by Councilmember Meister. Any further discussion? Then we'll go ahead and take a vote. Do you want to read the title of the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So we will be introducing on first reading an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Hollywood adopting Chapter 9.46 of Article 3 of Title 9 of the West Hollywood Municipal Code, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of family or relationship structure. There is a motion and a second on the floor to introduce on first reading. And the motion passes 5-0.
Great. And the second recommendation is to create a task force, and I hope that a 6-month timeline seems to be consistent with what both the city clerk and the city attorney indicate is possible. And there's a motion to adopt the task force.
And before this goes through, Mayor, I just want to pause and thank again the members of the public who brought this forward and who came out and bore testimony tonight, shared your stories. It was shared by our city attorney. This may be the first in the state of California, so we hope to do this well and get it right, and that time invested by our staff to do that work and to bring these policies forward is essential to that. So thank you for your patience and your commitment to this. I also want to thank our city attorney, Lauren Langer, for leading on this work, and again, the members of the public who helped bring this forward to our city. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to be clear about what the task force is going to be bringing back.
Sure.
So I think the biggest piece that we want to look at as part of this is how does it affect benefits for city employees and what that looks like. If you recall, our domestic partner policy was one of the first, long before the state had its own policy. And so similar to that, we want to be sure that we are doing this right and that the policy that we bring forward for council adoption is something that we can do. And to outline all of the different ways that this ordinance could affect people's rental status, because that's what it's used for as well, their ability to have their throuple on insurance, whether that's city insurance or that is another insurance in another state. So that is the time that we're going to be taking, because working with CalPERS can take time. And this is, as Lord mentioned and Councilmember Byers, it's one of the first coming, especially from California. So we want to look into that.
Yes.
Thank you. Melissa, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. So for city employees that are involved in a throuple, that's the change that we're looking at?
It is one of the things that we need to look at, yes.
Would we require state legislation as well?
That's one of the things we have to look at. So,
Okay.
you know, we have a contract with PERS, and so we'd have, similar to what we do with contract cities for our sheriff services, that we have a contract with PERS, and any changes to that or amendments, we have to see if it's even something we can do.
No, thank you. I just
Yeah.
was triple checking.
So I wanted to clarify, the original item was to create a registration program. Any kind of enhancement to employee benefits would have to go through our meet and confer process. It's not clear that our city employees would necessarily request benefits for members of a throuple. We certainly would probably want to offer them and treat them the same as any other relationship, but that would have to be part of the meet and confer process, and it would have to be requested by the union. I do think it is important that we study those issues and have a clear understanding of what we as a city could offer under our existing contract with PERS and our existing insurance policies, whether we would be able to offer benefits. But the availability of a registration program, that is something that I think can be done apart from the employee benefits. So maybe part of what will have to be done as this task force is that we look at those two items separately. As I recall, when we did domestic partnership registration, we created the registration program, but it took several years to work out some of the issues with employee benefits and to convince insurance companies that they weren't going to lose a lot of money by insuring domestic partners, which was a big fear at that time. So, but that can be part of the task force work.
Yeah, and so
Yes.
it may be a separate registration program from what we currently have with our current domestic partnership.
Correct.
And thank you very much, Mayor. The reason why I think that I'm really proud of this item, and I'm really glad the council's moving forward on this. I think it's important. And you were there, obviously, when sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but I was there.
I'm old, it's
no,
okay.
No, you are not old. You're amazing, and that's what I have to say. And you're the only true blonde on this council, so there you go. But we have to make sure that, I think this is a really monumental moment for the city. So do my colleagues want to have like an ad hoc committee of all of us to talk to staff on that? I don't want to add another committee that we need to be, but I think it is important. I'm even willing to serve on it. I know Councilmember Meister always loves, no, I'm sorry, it was a joke. But I mean, is that something we want to pursue to make sure staff is getting advice in real time? Is it needed? I just want to make sure they have these resources because it is a big lift.
I don't know if council wants to do that. I don't think that was part of the recommendation. So why don't we give staff a little time to work on that? And if they feel that having a council subcommittee, maybe you could bring that back to us at our next meeting? Okay. Does that sound fair?
I just want to make sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and move the recommendation tonight and then see where that goes. And we'll ask for a brief update from staff in a month. All right, it's unanimously approved. Thank you again to all of the speakers who came out and for your advocacy.